making sure you can see me and hear me, and I'm standing up. We're going to be talking about guitar motivation today. We're going to be talking about something a little bit different. We're going to be talking about practicing and playing standing up as opposed to sitting down all the time. For many people who don't play in bands and things like that, or at least at this point, you know, what you find yourself doing a lot is just practicing all the time when you're sitting down, and that's wonderful. We do that all the time. But I want to talk to you about the importance of practicing while standing up, because it feels very different and it actually sounds very different as well. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So I'm just going to give a couple minutes here for people to show up, make sure you can hear me and see me okay, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So we've got Rashed here, John is here. Hello, John. And Jordan, Anthony, oh, I don't even know what that says. Andrew is here. Hey, Andrew. Hey, Brian. All right. So again, to recap, in case you're just showing up and you missed it, I am standing up. Okay. Today for Monday Motivation, we're going to be talking about the importance of practicing or playing standing up, the importance of setting your guitar strap at the right level, that sort of thing. They might seem like obvious things, but if you don't do them very often, they can kind of set you up for failure because you're not going to be very comfortable, okay? So that's why I wanted to just take a few minutes and talk about this quick. So I have tried many guitar straps, and some of my guitars, most of my guitars have strap locks, but you know, with modern technology, there's a lot of really great guitar strap ends that are not strap locks. There's lots of different things out there now. And it used to be, you know, in order to make sure that your guitar didn't hit the floor, you know, you use strap locks that would lock on there. Well, now there's a lot of different things that you can do that don't require strap locks. And again, I'm not being endorsed by these guys or anything like that. I just want to show you something I came across. I've always liked the really light, thin kind of guitar straps. Doesn't mean that you know, you might not want something else. It's whatever you're looking for. But with this guitar strap, this is a D'Addario guitar strap, okay? And what I like about this, and not that you're really going to be able to see this too much, but the end of the strap has this little clip on it, okay? So instead of being for a particular kind of strap, you know, peg, it can go on anything. So basically what happens is you slip the peg in there and this little piece here locks into place. And when you don't want it, you just lift it up and take it out and you're done. So I have gone to using these, and no, this isn't an endorsement. There's other straps that I use too, but I really like these because I can throw a couple in my travel bag, and then depending on what guitar I grab, if I grab a PRS, for instance, that doesn't have the strap locks, the actual strap locks on them, it's okay. If I grab one of my Ibanez's that I've already put strap locks on, it's okay. It'll work for any of those. So I don't have to have the correct end for it. I can just use anything that I want, okay? Donald, hey Chan, Robert, Terry, Jordan is here, Jericho's here. Hey everybody, it's nice to see you. Frank is here. So now let's move on from there. What we're gonna do is take this guitar strap now, okay? And what I'm gonna do is grab my trusty Ibanez Gem here. Now when I put this on, obviously what's cool about this is the top just pops up and it just locks into place. So then when I want to take that off, I just lift that up and it comes off. So what makes this so great is that it doesn't matter if it's got an old school kind of bigger peg or a smaller peg, it locks into place no matter what. Hey Jack, hey Ricky, hey Rich. The family is good today, thank you. So lock the other one on, and here we go. Now, here's the next step, which is really important. When you play standing up, and again, the guitar or my shotgun mic is up here, so hopefully you can hear me okay. But when you play standing up, the most important thing is you got a battle. The battle is cool versus practical, and it sounds like I'm being cynical, but I'm really not. When you play on stage, it depends on what band you play in, what style of music you play, all that sort of thing. So when I play, this is about where I put my guitar, okay? If I lower it any further than this, it starts looking maybe a little bit cooler, but it makes it harder for me to play, okay? You know, I can play chords and things like that just fine, but when I get up in this area and start playing, it becomes more difficult the further down I put the guitar. And I think the older I get, the worse it gets, and maybe some people agree with me that is a very practical thing, that the older you get, the harder it is to play lower. But Again, I'm only 5'2" on a good day with the right shoes. So, playing the guitar really, far down here doesn't do me any good because I can't play anything that feels really comfortable. Okay? Thank you, Mike. So what I need to do is I need to have this up a little bit. So that's what I want you to be thinking about. Step number 1, finding a good guitar strap that feels comfortable. When I used to play on stage a lot, I used to use wider straps, and oftentimes they'd be thicker because they looked cooler. But what would happen is that it'd rub against my neck so bad that by the end of the night, it looked like I had massive hickeys here because the strap would rub so bad. And so I actually went to a guitar strap called ESO, E-S-O, which I really love their straps. They're actually kind of ergonomic and they're shaped to kind of go out like this. And I love them, absolutely love them. But what I really have come to appreciate are these ones that fit on any guitar. So that way I don't have to have a particular strap for this guitar that has this peg, or I've got to go out and buy a bunch more strap locks to unify all my guitars. This one works really great because it goes on anything. So like I said, I throw a couple in the trunk of my car. I throw a couple in my travel bag that keeps all my, I have picks and cables and tuners and different things like that, string changing material, all that kind of stuff. I have all that stuff in there, and I keep a couple guitar straps in there. That way I'm always ready if I have something I need to do. When you're my height, the problem is oftentimes when you get asked to play up on stage, you jump up with somebody, you go up on stage and then the guitar is usually a little bit, the strap's too long because you're shorter and they're taller. So it is always nice to have a guitar strap that fits you, okay? So then the next thing, all right? So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna look really stupid for you because I'm not afraid of doing that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change this guitar strap here. There we go. All right, so now I'm gonna put this on again. Okay, now, this is a great place to have this guitar strap if I wanna look cool, okay? Now again, I've seen like I'm being cynical, I'm not. When you play on stage, you're trying to entertain, right? So as I'm playing, a lot of times when I go to start playing up in this position, it's not that I can't reach, it's that it feels uncomfortable. And certainly if I start trying to get to these thicker strings, I'm gonna run into a problem, okay? So this is something that I need to practice. This is why I need to practice standing up, is to figure out where do I need that guitar strap so it's comfortable, okay? So again, if I wasn't really doing a lot of soloing or anything, I was just playing more rhythm, this would be fine, okay? If that makes sense, okay? But if I'm gonna be doing a lot of soloing the way I like to solo, this isn't gonna work, okay? As much as I like this here. So what I might need to do is, again, go back down here and exchange this, or change the strap just a little bit here, okay? And I get kind of OCD about the setting of my strap, so, but this is pretty good. So you see, if I wanted to go to the 6th string, this isn't an unreasonable position for my wrist to be in to be able to reach that, okay? So a little bit different. Yeah, and you think of like guys like Zakk Wylde who will play it low, and then when they go for solos, they tend to put, their leg up on a monitor, and then they'll flip that up like that. And everybody's different. Again, that's my point to you, is that you're not Slash. You're not Zakk Wylde, and you're not me, you're you. So you've got to figure out what works best for you for your situation. When I play on stage, I do a lot of running around, and there's a lot of headbanging going on and all that sort of thing. And I need the guitar to be in a comfortable position to play, to do the things I want to do. So I have to find that balance, and that's important for you to figure out what works best for you as well, okay? So now we've got the guitar strap, we've been practicing that sort of thing. Hello, Mother, my mom is out there. We got the guitar strap set up, and we're good to go. Okay, so now the next thing I want to talk to you about, which I was gonna take, I've got one of my favorite guitar amp companies, Mezza Barba. I just love Mezza Barba if you've ever heard of them before. But my 412 that's sitting over there, I don't have casters on it. I actually was looking this morning at installing some casters on it. I was gonna haul that over here for you to see, but the next thing I wanna talk to you about is, just real briefly, is when you're playing standing up, the difference of where that sound is hitting you. And again, this is all a personal preference, but I want you to start being aware of this. So if I take that 412 and I set it here, and then I put whatever, guitar amp head on top of it that I'm going to be using, okay? And I play. What I have noticed from playing for the last, I don't know, 25 years, whatever it's been that I've been playing on stage, 30 years, something like that, is that I don't like two stacked 412s, because I don't like the sound of the amp screaming at my face or the back of my head when I'm playing. So another thing I want you to think about, and I'm not going to give you should or shouldn't do this. I'm just telling you that when you play standing up, the sound is going to hit you differently. Generally, you don't have an amp in front of you. Generally, if you're playing on stage, of course, the amp is going to be behind you. Or a lot of times when you're practicing sitting down, like if I was practicing in front of this, I'm practicing and the sound is hitting me this way as I look at that computer screen. Well, if I'm playing standing up with the intention of playing on stage, I either have the amp behind me or I have the amp to the side of me, maybe sidewashing this direction or sidewashing the other direction. Again, that's a whole other conversation. But I want you to be aware that when you play standing up, another good thing, if your intention is to play on stage or play with a band or something like that, is to get used to thinking about where the amp sounds best when you're standing up, when the amp is behind you. Some people like to put like little 412 or little 212s or 112s or whatever you might have on a stand that kind of faces up, facing you. For me, because I tend to play in harder rock bands and everything is really loud, I like the 412 to be on the floor. I don't really use slant 412s. I use straight, so they go straight out. The slant, I don't really like the sound coming up like that. Again, this is me just telling you honestly, you do whatever you want. But when you go this way, okay, you shoot out the sound this way from a straight 412, I like when it stays down in here. I like the way it sounds to me. So, depending on how far back the 412 is, depending on how big the stage is, all those sorts of things, depending on how it's hitting the audience, depending on, whether the amp needs to be turned a little bit for someone to hear or if it's too loud. I mean, there's a million things like that. But my point is that some people really like when the amp hits them, in the face or has the amp facing them. And I tend to like when it's off to the side just a little bit and it's down here. I like the sound, and I've just gotten used to that being the way I like that. So if there's anybody out there right now that plays on stage quite frequently and you want to, voice your opinion on what you like to do in terms of where you like that amplifier speakers is what I'm talking about, right? The speaker placements, where you like those to be, that would be awesome to let us know. Okay, you can always throw it in comments wherever you are, whether it's YouTube or Facebook or whatever, and let people know what you like. When you play on stage, where do you like those speakers to be facing? Do you like them to be facing up at you, away from you? Ideally, again, some stages you don't really have a choice. I mean, if you dial in your sound and you really like it and the sound guy's going, you're way too loud, you need to turn it that direction so you're not killing the audience. Well, that's what you got to do, right? Is there a risk of feedback being in between the amp and the monitor? It's different for me because I'm either using in-ear monitors, or when I do use a monitor, I don't run guitar in my own monitor. Like, my guitar is always more than loud enough. I'm answering Paul here. My guitar is more than loud enough. I don't ever run my guitar in my monitor. As a matter of fact, 99 out of 100 times, my monitor has vocals and a kick drum with the bass taken off of it, the bass rolled off the kick drum, so all I hear is the click of the kick, so I can line up, again, because I play in heavier bands, so I can line up with the click of that kick, and that's about all I ever run. The bass, I can generally, even though the bass player's way over there, I can generally hear the bass just fine through the PA. So I'm not real finicky. Sound guys like me because I'm not really finicky with setting up my monitor. So I don't get feedback because I'm not running, guitar this way and this way through my monitor. But again, that's different for everybody, okay? So the other thing, I see Richard says, I can't even hear myself playing on stage. And that's the other thing for me too. I don't like to be so loud from my amp facing me that all I hear is me, because I get very self-conscious. So I like my volume of my amp, whether it's coming toward me or, from the floor again, like I talked about, or it's faced away a little bit or whatever it might be. I like it blended with everything else that I'm hearing, a stage volume, that actual live sound. I really like the sound of that. And I like when my amp is blended in with that, so I feel like I'm part of everything else. Where if my amp is way too loud and hitting me directly, and all I can really hear is me, then I start freaking myself out. So I don't really like that. I'd rather enjoy the moment and worry a little bit less like that. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. Again, wherever you are, leave some comments about what it is that you do, and maybe that'll benefit somebody. If there's a particular guitar strap that you find that works best for you, or a guitar height that works best for you. Hey, Janice. Hey, Julius, excuse me. Armando says, I'm 51. Am I too old to play guitar? Of course not. You're never too old to play guitar. But if you're 51, chances are you may or may not have a family, you may or may not have 1 or 2 or 3 or 7 jobs, right? So the difference is the older you get, the more responsibilities you tend to have. And so all that means is you maybe have less time to practice than you would if you were 15, right? So can anybody play? Absolutely. But you have to be realistic about your goals and the amount of time that you have to spend, right? Hey, Jeff. Jeff Alexander's here. Cool guy. Here he is. Gear Junkie is here. Sam is here. So again, I'm not telling you that this is what you need to do with your playing, but I am telling you that you really should try and play standing up if you play in a band or are planning on playing in a band. You know, if you're never planning on playing with anybody else ever, you know, you could stand up and that's fine, and you wouldn't have to, and that's okay. But if you do have, you know, some sort of future with playing in a band where you're going to stand up, it's really important to get comfortable with the guitar strap height, the comfortability of being able to play standing up, and where you want that amplifier so it sounds good to you. Because again, if you don't really explore where to put that amp behind you and how to face it and what it sounds like, because it sounds different. It sounds different than when I sit over here facing that monitor with those speakers and I'm just playing, sitting down and jamming along with songs that I like or jamming along with a jam track. It's an entirely different beast, let alone talking about the volume of the amp and how loud to have it and feedback and all that kind of stuff. That's a whole other thing as well. But these are real things. So again, if you're out there and you've got some advice for somebody, some different things that you do, please leave them in the comments and people can utilize your information as well. It's not just me. I just want to start the conversation so we have something to discuss and work on for the week. So if you're not used to playing standing up, what I'd like you to do this week for Monday Guitar Motivation is explore this. Explore standing up and playing and explore where this guitar, you might have to take this guitar off 30 times to adjust the guitar strap to find the ideal place to have it. But once you've got it, once it feels good for what it is that you do, again, if you play a lot of rhythm, you might lower this guitar down a little bit. If you've got longer arms, you might lower this guitar down a little bit, and that's awesome, okay? It's not what I do. It's what works best for you, okay? Do I ever get a delay from strumming to the PA? Not on a massive level. Usually if you're playing on a bigger stage, thank you, Chan. If you're playing on a bigger stage a lot of times, then that's where your monitors really become very important. And sometimes you'll have your monitors on the floor. But if you play on bigger stages, sometimes they hang monitors on the sides. So you're getting the band is coming out of these monitors. This is my personal monitor where I've got my kick drum, whatever I might have. But a lot of times you'll have a side wash of monitors, big monitors on the sides that wash down. And then you're hearing the whole band coming this way. So you're not really affected as much by the PA that's heading out to the audience. So it's different for everybody. Okay? So hopefully that makes sense. Again, I don't want to take too much of your time, and I've got to go live again. If you're watching this live, I got to go live again at 10 a.m. Pacific. I'm doing a guitar Q&A today. We're going to be talking about all things guitar for my Rock Licks guitar course. So hopefully that makes sense to you. Practice that. Have a great week. Stay positive, and I'll talk to you all very soon, okay? So bye.